Hey guys, welcome to video number 4. My name is James Selu, online marketer, entrepreneur, founder of jamesselu.com and the Level Up series. I hope you guys are getting massive value from this course and I hope you're having as much fun watching it as we are making it. So let's talk about the blueprint. This is a powerful subject and I'm super excited to share this with you. So how do you exactly level up when it comes to earning additional income? This is something that changed everything for me. When I mastered these key concepts, it was like I was born again. Everything changed. So here's what I want you to understand. There is a major difference between the way that wealthy people focus on making money compared to how the masses generate income. You see, here's what we're taught growing up. You need to work for money. What wealthy people do, they don't work for money, they make their money work for them. You see, an entrepreneur, their goal is to make twice as much money, but by doing half the work. The masses, they have a different mindset when it comes to building wealth. And this is why most people never get there. So let me give you a few examples. Now, how many people do you know that work so hard? They work extremely hard. They do long days. They do night shifts. They're working themselves into the ground, but they never get anywhere near success. Let me give you an example. I promise you, manual day laborers, they work much harder than CEOs of companies. But here's the problem. The manual day laborer is only working hard. The CEO of a company, they're doing some good work, but they are working very, very smart. And that is the key difference. Now, there are two major reasons that 95% of people get nowhere near financial freedom. But the 5% of people that do, they have mastered and drilled down on these two specific strategies, these two topics when it comes to earning. So number one, what wealthy people focus on to make a lot of income is something called leverage. Now, what's leverage? Leverage or distribution or franchising is the idea that you don't just rely on your own efforts to make money, but you build a system and you develop a way where you can leverage from other efforts of other people or outlets or stores in order to generate you money. So let me give you an example, the problem that most people have, and this may be relevant to you, it was definitely relevant to me. Before I became an entrepreneur, I was the only person that was contributing to my paycheck, and that was a big, big problem. So let me ask you a question. Other than yourself, how many people are contributing to the paycheck that you make? Whether you get paid every 2 weeks, every month, whatever the case may be, how many other people apart from you are contributing to your paycheck? Now, if the answer is 0 and then it's just you, then you're not currently experiencing any leverage. I was exactly the same until I mastered this topic. Now, there's an individual called John Paul Getty, a billionaire and oil baron who was based in America. Now, here's what he said. Rather than getting paid from 100% of his own efforts, he would rather get paid 1% from the efforts of 100 people. Let me repeat that. Rather than getting paid from 100% of his own efforts, he would rather get paid 1% from the efforts of 100 people. This is known as leverage. Another word for this is distribution or franchising. Let's take a look at one of the biggest corporations that does this the best way, McDonald's. Now, McDonald's taught me one thing, that it's not all about the product. It's all about distribution, leverage. Now, in 2016, it was reported that McDonald's made 24 billion US dollars in 1 year. Now, how did they do that when Happy Meals cost maybe £2-3? The reason they did that is because they have 37,000 stores all around the world. This is known as distribution. Now, this is what entrepreneurs do when they want to make more money. They don't decide to do overtime. they decide to open up new outlets, new distributions, new franchises so that they can make more money but not have to put in any more work. That is working smart instead of working hard. So that's the first thing, leverage. Now, number two is passive income. Now, what is passive income? It's the idea that you can do something once and get paid again and again and again. It's the idea that you can make money 24 hours a day, even if you're not awake 24 hours a day. Now, here's what Warren Buffett said. We spoke about him earlier. He said a famous quote: "If you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." And we looked at the numbers in the last video, Can You Afford to Be Skeptical? And the average life expectancy is 80, and the average retirement age is close to 70. People are literally working until they're dying because they're not making passive income. Here's the problem that most people have. There's 168 hours in a week and they're working 40. So they're only making money a quarter of the time that they're even alive. Now, the answer is not to go and work overtime and to run yourself into the ground. One of the answers is passive income. The idea that you can make money 24 hours a day. Let me give you an example. Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson passed away in 2009, rest in peace. Now, it was reported that in 2017, he made $75 million. Now, how did he do that when he passed away 2009? The reason is this: he recorded music once and people still buy it today. Now, he doesn't get the money, but his estate will, his family will, his kids will. Now, that's an example of passive or residual income. He's making money even 8-9 years after he's passed away. Now, here's the question that I have for you. If you were to stop working this month, next month, how much would you be paid? If the answer is 0, then that is a problem. And this is why the blueprint is gonna help you change that. Now, one final example, J.K. Rowling, she became the first female billionaire author. Now, she did that from the Harry Potter series. She only wrote each book once, but it sold billions of times around the world. This is why she's in the position that she's in today. So what are the different ways that you can make money, and how can you make the shift from not having leverage to having leverage? How can you go from making linear-based income, which I'm going to talk about, to building a passive income? This is where I'm going to introduce something which is called the cash flow quadrant. I'm going to grab the whiteboard and be right back. Okay, so let's talk about the cash flow quadrant. Now, these are the 4 different ways that you can produce income, and this was something that was built by Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, author of Business of the 21st Century. Highly recommend that you go out and you get copies of those books, whether it's audio, whether it's paperback. But look, cash flow quadrant, how does it work? Now, there are 4 different ways that you can produce income today, and I'm going to go through each of those. Now, you have to excuse my handwriting. I still have doctor's handwriting, but I hope you guys can make this out. Now, number 1, you can become an employee. This is what most people do. They get a job and they will trade their time for money. So let's say they work 9 to 5, 10 to 6, whatever the case may be. They get paid for the hours that they do, nothing more, nothing less. Number 2, people become self-employed. So an example of being self-employed is a taxi driver. Now, they own the license to the taxi, they own the taxi, therefore they have no boss. However, the way that they make money is exactly the same. They're still trading their time for money, because if they don't work, then they won't get paid. Now, these 2 here, they're done by 95% of people, but they only generate 5% of all the wealth that's available. Now, here's the problem. The way that they make money here is known as linear-based income. It means that you trade your hours for pounds. Now, the problem with that is the only way to make more money is to work more time. Now, let's move over to the right-hand side. Box number 3, we have business owners. They are people that own systems. We already spoke about how powerful a system is. A system stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. An example, a franchise like McDonald's. They make so much money because they have so many outlets. So systems, they work through people to build more money. And we already spoke about the fact that people are more important than money, because people are produced at a higher rate than money is printed. So anything that works through people is going to grow exponentially, just like systems. Now, last but not least is investors. Investors are people that put money into something and they hope to see more money out. So they will literally invest into a business idea, a concept, whatever the case may be, and then they will hope to see more money back. So whether they buy stocks, whether they buy a property, they won't have any involvement, but they will just put money in. Now, these two here, they are only done by 5% of people, but they generate 95% of all of the wealth that's available. The way that these two categories make money is known as residual or passive income, the idea that you do something once and you continue to get paid. Now, if you ask 99 people out of 100, which side would they rather be on? They would rather be on this side here. Why? Because this is where the time freedom lies. This is where the financial freedom lies. However, why don't people make it onto the right-hand side? Many reasons. Number one, people say they haven't got time to start a business. Now, the truth is, there's no such thing as time. Another word for time is priorities. The second major reason that people don't get onto the right-hand side is lack of money. Typically, a business costs 27, 30 plus thousand pounds just to start up. Another reason is lack of an idea, lack of mentorship, lack of system. So here's what most people do. Most people, they will stay here for their entire life. You know, they'll be an employee, they won't retire till maybe they're 65, 70, some even more. Some people, they'll gradually make the shift to becoming self-employed. They'll manage to save up enough money and maybe they'll buy a corner shop. Maybe they will own a taxi and become a taxi driver, and they'll start to experience making more money, but they'll have even less time than when they were an employee. And they'll realize that being self-employed is almost harder than being employed, because when you're employed, you have sick pay. When you're self-employed, there's no sick pay. When you're an employee, you get time off. When you're self-employed, you can take time off, but it just means you won't get paid. Now, very few people, they will then transition to business owner. They'll build a system and they'll do half the work and get paid twice as much. And a few of them will then move to becoming investors, where they literally make their money work for them. And this is the goal. So let's get back to the online course. Perfect. So now that we've explained the cash flow quadrant, let me give you an example of an individual that I personally mentored today who started their own business. And this was a home-based business where they could build a passive income and also experience leverage. Now, this individual, he worked in a massive telecommunications company for many years, was in a very, very good position financially. The company went into administration overnight and he lost everything. So because of the risks that he saw that the corporate world had attached to and the fact that there was no such thing as job security, he turned to entrepreneurship. And like I said, he built a business where he could experience leverage and passive income. Now, towards the end of the second year, so in year 3 of his business, he was actually hospitalized for around 3 months with severe acute pancreatitis. Now, there were times when he was in intensive care. There were times when it was very critical and he couldn't work. Now, here's the positive in that negative situation. He was earning a passive income, which meant that even if he didn't work, he would still get paid. And he also built a business where he experienced leverage from. So he wasn't the sole outletter or the sole retailer within his business. And for that reason, even if he didn't work, there were still things happening within his business. Now, he was from a single parent family where there were 6 people solely dependent upon his income to keep their house afloat. And this is why I say there was a positive to come out of that negative. Now, if he was working in a job, here's what would have happened. He would have been paid statutory sick pay, which is £89 a week, and that's eligible to be paid for a maximum of 6 months. Now, he was in hospital for 3 months, but for a further 3 months was recovering at home. So £89 a week, that's around £12 per day, and that would have been to support him and, remember, 6 other people from a single parent household. But because he became an entrepreneur, because he built a passive income, because he experienced leverage, it was not an issue for him. And there are two types of people. There's some people that are reactive, there's some people that are proactive. Don't be that reactive person that waits for something to happen before they realize that they need to do something about it, because very often it can be too late. So where do you start? You know, you're watching this video and you're sat there thinking, man, I need to build a passive income. You know, I need to experience leverage. All of this makes sense. Where do you start? Well, first things first, you need to understand principle number 5 of Building Wealth by John Paul Getty. Principle number 5 states that you have to invest in business. If your goal is to become financially free, you need to invest in business. This is it. So let me give you an example of one of the most powerful business models today. It's called a home-based business. Now, research has shown that today, 52% of businesses in the UK are home-based businesses, and currently they're responsible for a massive 6% of the economic output in the UK, which is equal to 94 billion. Here's what I want to let you know. The way that people are earning money today has changed. This is the first generation where people are not doing as well as their parents if they're doing the same thing. This is the millennial era now, you know, the age of the smartphone, technology. Things are changing, and just like Darwin said, the person that has the most success is going to be the person that adapts to change the most. So why are people so excited and so passionate about home-based businesses? Because they allow you to have leverage and they allow you to earn passive income. Now, the reason that home-based businesses are attractive, number one, they have a low startup cost. Now, a traditional business is going to cost you around 30,000 plus, all the way up to the millions, depending upon what it is. But you can start a home-based business for anywhere from free up to a few thousands of pounds. And this is why they're so attractive. Now, number two, they're scalable. What do I mean by that? Any business that relies on people or builds through people is scalable. Here's what I want you to understand about people. They're way more important than money. We live in an era today where money is being printed slower than human beings are being born. So people are produced faster than money is even printed. Therefore, anything that runs through people is going to be massively scalable, and it's going to grow exponentially. Another reason why home-based businesses are so powerful is because you have the flexibility and the freedom to work from your home, you know, to choose who you work with, not have to put any restriction in terms of time or hours. And these are the things that are so powerful about a home-based business. And of course, the fact that there's an unlimited income potential. So look, I want to leave you with an action plan before we wrap up. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about the key features that you want from a business. You know, whether it be income, whether it be working conditions, whether it be the product or the service. I want you to think about 5 key things that you would want from your own business. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to get in touch with me. You can find the details at the front end of the course in the email you received. I want you to get in touch with me personally so that we can schedule a 30-minute strategy call. Now, on this strategy call, I want you to have prepared what it is that you want, the things that you want from a home-based business, and I'm gonna make a strategy, an individual tailored game plan just for you so that you can go out there and you can level up. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you real soon. Take care.